Hello, everyone. Glad you're here. I want to get right to it. This is a dream that my dad had on somewhere around. I had to look in my journal right quick. Somewhere around September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 2020. In my journal, I have written kind of an interpretation of it on the 24th of September 2020. So he had this dream a few days, or like around that time period. I've really, quite honestly, struggled with the interpretation of this dream. I do believe it is from our Father, from God. I'm not sure what it's telling us. I sense it's a warning or a revealing of the true nature of the enemy. So, with that being said, let's get to it. We call this the China dream. It starts out with my dad, who is in an auditorium. He's at the back of a huge auditorium, and there's a crowd there. And on the stage is a Chinese delegate of people, a panel of Chinese men, and President Xi or Xi, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, the president of China. We'll say President Xi is standing up and speaking, and he's very adamant about a clock. He's talking about the Chinese clock being built, and he's upset that it's not being able to be built, and he keeps talking about the Chinese clock has to be built. My dad stands up at the back of the auditorium and shouts out a question, and he says, if you're China and you're so big, why can't you build the clock? And this made the president very upset, and he started yelling, and he jumped up and down 2 or 3 times, but then he calmed down and thanked him for the question, and he called my dad to come forward. My dad went down to the front of the auditorium, to the front of the stage, and these men brought out a lamp, a very intricate, it was about 2 feet high. It was iron. It had 4 it had 4 like legs on the bottom of it, and they like awarded him this lamp. So my dad took the lamp and was got in a car and was driving, and stopped by a shop, and he went inside this shop, and there was a shopkeeper that was of Asian descent, and my dad said, "Oh, are you from Japan?" And the shopkeeper said, "No, I'm from China." And he acted a little indignant, but he was nice. And my dad said, "Okay." And then the shopkeeper said, "You don't have a light bulb for that lamp. That lamp needs a light bulb." And my dad said, "Well, sure enough, it does." And so the shopkeeper got a light bulb, gave it to my dad, and my dad left. When he went out to the back of the shop, there were 4 boys who were building a platform, and there was a man standing to the side watching. And these 4 boys were building. It had 4 posts. I would describe it probably as a stage. My dad described it as a platform. They were making it so there was a roof over the platform. And my dad said, "What are y'all building?" And they said, "We're building a platform for the Chinese clock." And my dad said, "Oh, well, this should be interesting." So he began to watch it. And as he was watching, the scene transferred out into this open field that was just snow covered, and it was snowing, and it was super cold, like crazy cold, and the boys were still there, and the man was still there standing at the back. And my dad looked down, and there were these 4 lambs that were standing at the base of the platform, at the base of the stage. And after a while, 3 of them walked away and went back into these bushes, and one was left, and that one was just a crying and crying and crying. And my dad told the boys that lamb is hungry. And my dad scooped up some snow and ate it like he was thirsty, and it quenched his thirst. And when he looked, the lamb was gone. And that was the end of the dream. Now, I think the takeaway from this dream can be, there's a couple of things that stick out in my mind. And if you have any ideas, feel free to comment below on what your ideas are. But after being in prayer, and really, clearly, this dream is nearly 2 years old. So we have seen lots of things in China that have kind of fit into this scenario. But one of the things is China, it starts out where China is on the stage, meaning they're in the spotlight or they are lifted up in the world. People, when something's on a stage, like when you go to a play, you're looking at it, it's risen above. So that's interesting. Like, is China on the world stage? The answer would be yes, especially right now. Watch what's going on with Taiwan. That's the coming thing. That's the next thing that's going to escalate World War III, in my opinion. So China is on the stage. The second thing that's very prevalent in this dream is the time, the clock. The Chinese clock. I wonder, does that mean that China has a timeline in which they are operating in that is being built and is being constructed, and in a way they need help building it? And to me, I wonder if their friendship with Russia is part of this timeline or the clock that they are building on a platform. The third thing that kind of comes to mind is the lamp. For the believers, we are the light of the world. China is very much against Christianity. So it makes sense that they would say they have a light or they have a light, but they're truly not the light because they don't have the light bulb. So they're not a light at all, as far as spiritually speaking. And so for believers, we are the light of the world. We hold the lamp. We're the lamps stand on the hill so all can see. But we need that light bulb. We can't just be a lamp without a light bulb. So it would make sense that my dad, who is a believer, would be equipped with the light bulb in this scenario. The next thing that really strikes me are the 4 lambs and the snow. Snow often means the purity of Christ. It could also be literal, like we're coming into times where it's going to be cold, literally. With the energy wars that are going on and the energy shortage that's in the news nearly every day right now, I'm wondering, I'm not even wondering, this is the truth. Governments are warning nations, it's going to be a cold winter. Start getting prepared now. And to me, if you're looking for a point of action in this stream, that's one of them. Get your home ready for cold weather this winter. I don't know what the energy supply is going to be like for the United States, but I guarantee you the price is going to be a lot higher than it has been. So get your house ready for cold weather. That would if you have a fireplace, obviously make sure you have wood. Electric blankets, battery run hand warmers and hat warmers, battery run coats. Those kinds of things are just smart things to have on hand. Cold weather sleeping bags, another good thing to have on hand. And that is a way you can prepare. And I think that's what this snow might mean, is that there's going to be a time where there's a Chinese influence that creates coldness across the world. And the lambs, Truly, was very hungry. I don't know if this is a parallel with what's happening in Shanghai now and fixing to happen in Beijing. The lockdown there, the COVID zero tolerance that China has, those people are starving in their apartments. And I just wonder about that. And that anytime, obviously we need real food to eat, but truly our spiritual food is what's going to sustain us through all kinds of trouble, all kinds of storms, all kinds of hardships. Thus, the idea of when my dad scooped the snow, which, if it represents the purity of Christ, and ate it, meaning his commitment to Christ, is that serious or that strong, that is the thing that sustains and quenches all spiritual thirst and hunger that we have within our souls. So those are the takeaway ideas I have from that dream. I do think it is from God. I do think it's a warning for what is coming. I do think it also is teaching us that Jesus is what will sustain us in all ways, forms, hardships. We lean and are committed to Christ. So if I were you, and I am not you, but if I were you, I would totally this week plan on going to the store and getting your food, getting stuff. Make sure it's stuff you're going to eat and not just crazy weird stuff that you're going to open up if you don't have food and not really want to eat it. So you can always rotate. If nothing happens, then you can actually eat the food you're buying. If something does happen, I guarantee you're going to be glad you have it on your shelf. Water, warm things to keep you warm this winter. Think in terms of low energy. And those are the things that are my takeaway from this. In the end, it is Christ who sustains us. And it is His word and His presence that we emphasize. We can learn from our dreams, but the scriptures are the concrete holiness of Christ. And He loves us so much. He suffered and died for us so that we can live with Him forever. So that's all I got right now. I hope that helped you prepare. Don't panic. I'm glad you were here. Stay close to God. Bye-bye.